Welcome, welcome, welcome. As I like to say every week, I'm still Dr. Arnold Nerenberg, licensed clinical psychologist, licensed to practice in the state of California since 1974. I've been in the profession for over 50 years, and next month I'll be 84. I'd like to say that I finally know what I'm doing. That's the good news. So you're getting the best of me. The title of today's presentation is Danger, the Pervasive Culture of Disrespect. Danger, the Pervasive Culture of Disrespect. And this is part of the whole program that I had the privilege of developing. I feel it's inspired by the Spirit, but I follow the promptings and bring you these teachings and these ideas. It's transformed lives. That's transformed my life. 4 commands of honor, the bridge, the laws of honor. Transformative. And one dimension of honor is respect. So we have the 4 commands of honor, the bridge, but then we have 25 laws of honor, and we have supremacy of honor code. One of the 25 laws of honor, extreme respect always. And we're going to see how that ties into the cure for what's going on here. Disrespect in our society is rampant. It's on the roads, people flipping each other off, beeping at each other. The disrespect towards strangers, people we don't even know. Doesn't matter if the guy's 90 or 100, getting disrespected. Doesn't matter if it's a woman, a pregnant woman expecting a baby, disrespected on the roads. This is serious. Very serious. And I'm not just going to talk about the problem, I'm going to talk about the cure. There is a cure. We can turn this around in one generation. But the disrespect is enormous in the workplace. I see so many wonderful, lovely, beautiful human beings that come to me feeling disrespected in the workplace and humiliated by their supervisors, managers, their co-workers. Disrespect as a dimension of abuse of power. The disrespect, rampant. In the families, a breakdown of respecting the parent. It all starts there. A breakdown of respecting your mother and your father. That's where it begins. That's against the teachings of all the divine teachers. All talk about honor thy parents. Every religion, without exception. That's being violated. A pervasive culture of disrespect. And when a child disrespects his mother or his father, he's disrespecting himself. Because the mother and the father internalize within that child. Dangerous. The child will grow up not respecting himself or herself. And if the person doesn't respect himself or herself, doesn't respect their parents, they're not going to respect the institutions of society, whether you're talking about the police, the courts, the educational system, whatever institution you want to talk about, there'll be a lack of respect. And what does that cost us? Untold losses. For example, our educational system. People think, well, if we throw enough money at it, we get them the best computers. We get them a new building with great air conditioning and great lunches. Of course, that's all good. But that won't solve the issue. Not if the students don't respect the teacher. Massive disrespect. That's an outgrowth of not respecting the mother and the father. You don't respect the teachers. But they did respect the teachers, and we can achieve that within one generation. Then kids will get a great education, even if the roof is leaking a little water when it rains. Even if the computers are not the newest computers out. A great education. The cure is respect. If you know anybody that's been in prison or you've been in prison, you know the importance of respect in prison, and you know what will happen if you disrespect somebody in prison. Everyone in prison knows that. Everyone wants to be respected, but very few want to give that respect. Everyone wants to be respected, but very few want to give that respect. And that's tragic, because to have respect for another human being, or respect for the environment, respect for the animals, respect for creation, that's a beautiful feeling. It's lovely. Now, when you have a breakdown of respect, with that comes certain other character flaws, serious character flaws. One, big one, lack of gratitude. Lack of gratitude. In other words, we're talking about generations of spoiled brats who don't appreciate what they've been given, the abundance that they've been given. It leads to a strong sense of entitlement. You owe me this. I have this coming to me. That's an extension of the disrespect, the lack of gratitude. Disrespect, lack of gratitude, the breakdown of loyalty. The breakdown of loyalty. Who can you trust? No one's going to be loyal to you. Who can you trust if no one's going to be loyal? If you know your friends will sell you out for $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1 million, a price to sell you out, most of the time they will in this society at this time. Of course, I'm talking now on April 8th, 2025 in the United States of America. It's going beyond our country. We can bring back that gratitude, that respect, that loyalty. We all yearn for it. We all want it. We all need it. You need it. I need it. Every human being needs it. Without that respect, that loyalty, that gratitude, communities disintegrate. The breakdown of society, the breakdown of trust. That goes with it. We have disrespect, lack of loyalty, lack of gratitude. There goes trust. Who are you going to trust? And if you can't trust, well then, you're all alone, by yourself, in the jungle, with wild beasts all around you. Paranoia. That's what that is. Paranoia. How many people have told me, I don't trust anyone? I don't trust a single person. I hear it a lot. The parents did not insist on getting that parental respect. It's normal for a child to have that unconditional respect for the parent without it's being earned. It's just natural to give it. At the same time, it's natural for a child to test the boundaries. And if the parents don't say, hey, you're crossing a boundary, this will be the consequence that's going to happen to you if you cross that boundary again. If you disobey me or you disrespect me, this is what's going to happen. Of course, the parents can do that, but it has to be in the context of unconditional love that we have for our children. Unconditional love. And then they have for us unconditional parental respect. We can bring it back. It's a sad story I'm telling you, but it's going to be a good story because it can be turned around very easily. First step is recognizing the problem, recognizing the disease, the societal, psychological, spiritual disease. The extension, if it goes this way further, the children have no sense of duty or obligation or responsibility for the parents. Instead of having the attitude, you did so much for me in this world. You brought me into this world. Mom went through that suffering and that pain, and Dad worked hard. We're talking about normal parents, normal. The education, the food, the shelter. It's almost as if the attitude is this: I didn't ask to be brought into this world. You did that, and you owe me. I didn't ask to be born. You brought me into this world, and you owe me. It's almost as if that's the attitude, as opposed to, gee, you did so much for me. I know I can never repay you. I'm so grateful. I don't like everything you did in raising me, but I know you did your best. I know you sacrificed. I love you. I appreciate you. I respect you. I honor you. We can bring that. We can bring it. So, even parents that did a good job on showing the way of respect, when the children get into the schools and around their peers, and it's already a culture, a zeitgeist of disrespect from the celebrities, from the so-called role models that aren't the role models. The athletes doing very destructive, disrespectful behaviors and emulating that. False role models, false teachers of values. A betrayal of the public trust by those in leadership. It's happened. It is happening. So, your child goes off to school. Guess what? It's not your child anymore. It's not your son anymore. It's not your daughter anymore. Your child belongs to society. They're going to be around their teachers and their peers more than they'll be around you. Society then becomes the parent. Just by merit of fact, how much time they're in that circumstance. So even when you gave the child a good foundation, a moral foundation, an honorable foundation, doesn't mean it will sustain. Because of the lower nature. I'm free of my parents' influence. Give me that drug, give me that alcohol. Let me have a good time. Because they escaped. Yeah, all my friends are doing it. I'm going to enjoy myself. You only live once. There you go. So even with good upbringing, that can happen when you have a culture of disrespect, which is what we have right now. And then it gets internalized within even the medical professional. Many therapists will examine with their patients basically this orientation. what did your father do to you? What did your mother do to you that you have these problems? They don't say, what did your mother do for you? What did your father do for you? And then in the context of that, there was some mistreatment, some injustices, but in the context of gratitude for how much they've done for you, they don't do that. Many therapists will alienate and exacerbate the disrespect, where then the child could be a teenager, heck, could be an adult getting into therapy. I'm all messed up because of what my dad did. I'm all messed up because my mom did. Not, I'm alive because of my mother and father. I'm well fed because of my mother and father. I'm well educated because of my mother and father. No, that's forgotten. That's irrelevant. He didn't do this thing. My father didn't come to many of my games, and I saw him fall asleep at one of the games. He didn't care. Not my father was breaking his back working to support me. No, he didn't take at all my games. That's the takeaway. And when people share that story, yeah, my father wasn't there, my mother, all these things going, they did this to me, they did that to me, and they didn't do this for me, they didn't do that for me, as opposed to, wow, you were given all that. You were given the best foods, and your parents loved you and guided you and sacrificed for you, worked day and night to make sure you're okay, made sure your health was good, made sure you had good health insurance so you can get taken care of if anything happens. Your life is so precious to them. None of that matters. Not in a culture of disrespect. Doesn't matter. Not at all. Now, I've done my best to portray what exists. There are people that are respectful, but I want you to know the pervasive nature of the disrespect. Now, the parenting is key, but then somebody comes raised, it's a nice life, then they get into society, and they're betrayed by this friend, they're betrayed by that friend, treated unfairly at work, has a bad experience with the police, a bad experience with a teacher. Then after a while, a person says, they're all no good. I gotta look out for number one, me. Can't trust any of these people. That person then going to be disrespectful because their experiences have been really bad stories, but they don't look at what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem. There's always a best true story. Yes, there is. Any terrible thing that's happened, a good story that's also involved with it. That's a fact. I've talked about it in so many of my lectures. One of the popular stories that my people have heard, this one big tattered guy came in, very macho. He was a roughneck, worked in the oil fields. Came in, looked like he wanted to cry. He said, Doc, I've lost everything. My wife left me. I said, well, as a man, as a family man, that's a big loss. That's a big loss. He said, yeah, she didn't just leave me. She left me for another man. She wasn't faithful. She left me for another man. I said, that's even worse. That's worse. As a human being, I feel compassion for you. And then she took my kids. And you know what, Doc? I don't even know where they are. I lost my kids. I haven't been able to find them. She ran off with that guy, took the kids with her, my two children. Don't know where they are. I haven't seen my kids in months. I haven't heard a word. I became so stressed, Doc. I was messing up on the job badly, and they fired me. I lost my job. I lost my wife, lost my kids. I lost my job. My job was my manhood. I lost it. Didn't have the money. I was so stressed that I didn't have money. couldn't make my mortgage payments. Lost my house. So, wow. I said, this is tragic. As a man, as a human being, I feel compassion for you. He lost his wife. He lost his children. He lost his job. He lost his house. That's big. I said to him, what if I told you there's a best true story you can tell yourself about this terrible loss that will give dignity, nobility, and honor to your life? What if I told you that? He said, Doc, give it to me. What is it? I've got to hear that, Doc, because I'm dying inside. Of course, I could see he was. I said, you've lost everything, but you've gained yourself. And his face started lighting up. I said, yeah, I have gained everything. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. I've lost everything. I've gained myself. He was just floating out of my office. At the end, as he was leaving, he went to my secretary, and he said, I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. Still didn't have his wife, his kids, his job, or his house. But that was the best true story. Now, that could have made him a very bitter, sinister, disrespectful man. But when he saw the gain in it, which is part of the way of honor, that's one of the derivatives of one of the commands of honor. What's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? He saw the gain. Now, the loss was real. No way around that. That's a loss. But it's only half the story. The gain was real too. So it didn't lead to disillusionment, didn't lead to negativity, didn't lead so much to the disrespecting others over what happened. That's what I mean. There's always a gain in a loss. And that the path of honor is a way to maintain a constructive outlook, a way that will ultimately increase your wisdom. And I'm defining wisdom as integrating your joys and your sorrows, your gains and your losses into a constructive perception. Integrating your gains and your losses, your joys and your sorrows into a constructive perspective. It's doable. And I'm defining honor as loyalty to your highest constructive values as enshrined within the 4 commands of honor, while striving to cause no harm physically and emotionally. And the 4 commands of honor are, I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. And then one of 2 as a choice. If someone doesn't believe in God or doesn't wish to address God, they can go, I seek always to serve my highest values. If they believe in God as I do, God, your wish is my only wish. Then I have the people commit to a lifetime of reciting the 4 commands of honor. I have them basically that goes this way as a pledge. As a disciple of honor, I pledge myself for all the days of my life to the 4 commands of honor. And I'll teach them to those I love. I'll recite them every morning, afternoon, and evening, and listen to myself recite them. Lifetime commitment. I tell all our people, even when you're not my patient anymore, you want to keep this up. I tell my people, I'm talking to you now, you're 40 years old, but I'm really interested in you at 95. The conversation I want to have you at 95 is for you to tell me, Dr. Nerenberg, I've led a life of honor, and I have no regrets. So whether I'm still on this earth or if I'm gone, just tell me. I've lived a life of honor, and I have no regrets. So the whole approach, the honor movement, is not just what people bring to me as symptoms, although I'm very interested in that and I want to help and alleviate the suffering. I'm interested in the whole arch of the entire life. Extreme respect always. So we could bring that in and have people were just reciting that 3 times a day. Kids come in the morning, they go, extreme respect always. That's it. It's very simple. It's a step. Teachers go, extreme respect always. The parents go, extreme respect always. The police, extreme respect always. Now, people are going to violate it, sure, but it's a direction. We're committing ourselves to that. So that it's good to be able to recite that at least 3 times a day. Not just respect, extreme respect. Always, not just for now or with this person or that. Always. Extreme respect always. We could turn this around 1 generation as we grow the honor movement. I've done my best to portray the danger that we're in. I painted a pretty gloomy picture of what's going on. And I know every one of you knows this. You see it. Heck, you might be one of the ones showing that kind of disrespect. But I know you've been disrespected. I know you're not happy with the disrespect shown to you. I know that about you. All living beings deserve that respect, need that respect, deserve that respect. Everybody wants to be respected, but there are very few that want to give the respect. And you, and hearing what I'm talking about, I want you to be one of those that gives more and more respect. Some of you, I'm sure, show a lot of respect now. Let's step it up. I aspire to the same goal. Extreme respect always. I recite it every day, multiple times. So I painted a pretty bleak picture, and I painted an easy cure. With just a minimum of good faith in that statement, extreme respect always, extreme respect always. 3 words. 3 words. Change society, change the prisons, change the culture on the roads. Change the culture on the roads. We can do this. And there's a big need. I know you don't like the direction we're going in. I know that. Extreme respect always. Now, the title of today's presentation was Danger, the Pervasive Culture of Disrespect. I'd like to be able to someday give the lecture, The Pervasive Culture of Extreme Respect. That's the lecture I want to give. And God willing, I'll live long enough to give it. Well, at this point, I want to turn it over to our wonderful people that come to our presentations, keeping in mind that what you have to say is as meaningful or more meaningful to the others than what I've even presented. People say, well, when I hear what you have to say, they say, I'm part of this wonderful community. I can identify with this person. I'm not alone on my journey. So I want to invite you to please make any comment or any question you'd like to make.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. It's Bert.
Hey, Bert. Hey, Bert.
Hey, I was just gonna make a comment about a nationwide study they did with business schools that showed that people value respect more than recognition, appreciation, even opportunity of growth. They value respect more than any of those things, which I thought was interesting.
That's fascinating. The universal need for receiving respect. The question is then, how important is it for you to give respect? Not how much you want it, how about priority is to receive it. How important is it for you to show respect? That would be the study. In fact, I'll do the study. I'll do the study when we're seeing our patients, Bert. How important is it for you to show respect? I'll ask 2 questions. How important is it for you to receive respect from 1 to 5? How important is it for you to give respect from 1 to 5? That's a beautiful study. Thank you for sharing that, Bert.
Anytime.
Yeah. Excellent.
Hey, Dr. Nerenberg, it's Joanne.
Joanne.
Hi. Now, our kids went to elementary school together back
Yes.
in the time when there wasn't rap music and stuff. And I saw how instilling respect in our children showed them how to respect others. And, you know, I worked all the time, and I've had all 3 adult children call me and thank me for showing them, you know, how to work hard, how to respect people. And because it brought it into their workplace. And I know your kids grew up to be, you know, awesome too. But yeah, I agree with you. It has to start at home. You know, extreme respect always to everyone.
That's it. That's the key. Extreme respect always. And the fact that you were a model of that, and my experience with you is you've been always extremely respectful to me. So I know you'll live it because I can see how you are when we talk. And if your children are recognizing the importance of that and they're calling you to even talk to you, that's you're a very successful mom. You're a very successful mom.
Working so much, they never blamed me for having to work so much. They actually thanked me for instilling into them that work ethic.
So they didn't start with the story, gee, Mom abandoned us. I had to cook my meals. I had to take care of my siblings. They said Mom was working and Mom really provided for us. And we're grateful. See, that's the right story to be telling. But a lot will say I was neglected as a child, and that's the story, the victim story. And that's where disrespect grows out of that. Lack of loyalty grows out of that. Lack of gratitude grows out of that. That's a beautiful success story. Thank you so much, Joanne. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're most welcome.
Doctor?
Yeah, Hugh.
Can you tell how honorable a person is by what they respect?
Yeah, the question was from Hugh. Could you tell how honorable a person is by what they respect? Yeah, I mean, if somebody respects gangsters versus respecting a good teacher, that tells you a lot. That tells you a lot. That tells you their value system, so you can tell a lot from that. If somebody says, I really respect this person because he's good to his mom. Wow. Somebody says, I respect this guy because he's made a lot of money. Well, you don't know how he made his money. So this guy respects his mother because how devoted he was, how much love she showed him. That tells a lot. It's a very good point. It tells a lot about a person in terms of what they respect and what delights them. You see somebody behaving honorably, you see somebody being courteous, being good to another person. You say, I respect you for that. But how often do people really feel respect when they see that? They might feel more respect because this guy won the contest. He knocked that guy out. He scored more touchdowns than anybody else. Well, that's all good, but it tells a lot about a person, what they respect. Good point. Who else has a question or comment you'd like to make?
I have a comment. I'm Elizabeth Mercado.
Elizabeth, very good to hear from you, Elizabeth.
Hey, a lot of the stuff you were saying, especially at the beginning, it spoke a lot to me because I'm an educator and I see that a lot. And kind of just seeing how, like Joanne was saying, it starts from home 100%. I would agree. I see it with kids. And I agree with you because I've had instances where kids are disruptive. I meet the parents and then it kind of makes sense. It's like, oh, they're not even respectful to their own parents. Makes sense why the kid's not with me. And that fact that now in the classroom, they're still not going to listen to me, unfortunately. And it has happened because if they don't listen to their parents.
So would you agree that regardless, if you had a little roof, a leak in the roof, and the computers weren't up to date, but they respected you, would you say that they would get a really good education?
Oh, 100%. Theirs would be so much easier, so much faster, because unfortunately, at all of the time, those kids are also the ones that struggle. So it's really hard to help them when they are being defiant. And then the parents are like, oh, no, you can't do this. You can't. I was like, well, it's kind of hard to help when your kid is not accepting it and you're not accepting it.
Well, there you go. Well, let's stop right there for a minute, Elizabeth. I'm so proud of you that you're an educator and you're confirming this. Here's the thing. So you're saying that the state funding, the city funding, the federal funding is not the main issue. You're saying the main issue is the parenting and particularly respecting their parents so they can respect the teachers. Are you confirming that?
Yeah, I see that 100%. Everything you were mentioning, I was like, oh, it's like what I see when I'm in the classroom.
So it's not money. So you're saying it's not a matter of money.
No, I think unfortunately that's
if you have rich, spoiled brats coming in, they're not going to get the best education if they don't respect you.
Yes, and unfortunately, sometimes that does lead to other kids, like you mentioned, to also try to now test those same boundaries because they see that kids getting away with it, but that's because of their parents.
Well, this is revolutionary. What we're talking about is a revolution. Because right now, there's all the talk about the funding and the education departments, and these are underserved here, they're overserved here, and there's all truth in that. There's disparities, no question about it. What we're saying that the key factor is respect, and focusing on the money is secondary. It's important, but it's secondary to you respect your parents, you respect the teacher. And perhaps this can be brought into the system. I'm trying to find ways to bring this to society, the awareness. We spend more money in this country on education than any country in the world, and we rank like 50th best educated in the world. We're way down. And we spend a lot. So money, we've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that money is not going to solve it.
Yeah.
We know that for a fact. And you've just confirmed it. Yeah, so spread the word.
I like the idea where you said about talking about it every day, about mentioning.
Well, when you're back in the school, have the kids go at the beginning. Extreme respect always. And talk a little bit about what respect is. Start them out every day with that. Send out bulletins to the parents. This is what we're teaching the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one, believe me, doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
No,
it's politically correct to talk about extreme respect always. Mm-hmm. Nobody from any political party or any religious group will have a problem with that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your input. You're the professional and you're agreeing.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Yes.
One of the problems with our country, this is Christopher Coletti, is there's too many fatherless homes. And these kids don't have any direction. They have no discipline. And unfortunately, a lot of them do end up in prison. So it's definitely a culture problem with our country that we need prayer and we got to somehow save our kids and our families.
Well, we definitely need the prayer. But I know of many families with single moms who've done a marvelous job, and the children are very respectful and successful in society. Depends who the mother is, and if you have two parents there, it depends who the father is. If the father is a drunkard, beating up the wife, beating up the kids, you're not going to end up you're not likely to end up with the best kid. So it depends who that mother is. There are mothers that pull this off perfectly, and then there are many good fathers. All else being equal, it's good to have the mother and father, good parents. That child has got a better chance. However, a good mom, and I've seen plenty that have been mom and dad, work day and night, and the children have turned out magnificently. It's like a miracle, but I've seen it time and time again. But it's best to have both parents at home when possible. Two good parents. Good parents. Because a bad father at home,
when they're bad.
A bad father at home is a disaster. A bad mother at home is a disaster. Very good point, Christopher. Thank you for mentioning that. Very, very excellent point. Excellent.
Doctor, this is Luis. I think
Luis, is that you?
Saying,
yeah.
I'm one of those kids, just for everybody listening. I grew up with just my mom, 4 kids, raising 4 kids, working most of the time. And I feel like I grew up with a lot of values. I'm a very respectful person. I don't like to get, I don't like to do others what I wouldn't like to get done to me. So yes, it's definitely, I might disagree with the last person that spoke, saying that there's a lot of places without, mom and dad.
Well, here's the thing. You've turned out
the head of the issue. I think it all depends on education and one person. My mom never beat me up. She was never aggressive at all. She just did her best the way she could. And I have friends that ended up doing drugs and ended up in jail and stuff like that. And they were beat up, but both parents, they grew up with a lot of things that I never had, and they turn out to be different. So,
well, here's the point, Louis. Here's the point. You had a great mom. I hear about these great moms. So, if you have 2 good parents, that's great. But if you have a mom who's partying, neglecting the kids, It happens a lot. It's just being with this guy and that guy, not really attending to the kids. That's going to be a rough situation. That's going to be rough. And that goes on. No question about that. No question that goes on. So a two-parent family has a better probability of turning out respectful children. However, there are a lot of stories like you just said. I personally know of many, many people, single moms, doing just a magnificent job. Magnificent. And your mom's one of them. And for some reason, you were able to appreciate it. You can have a mom devoted and dedicated, and the kid's story is, Mom abandoned me. A lot of it's because of who you are, too. Because I've seen great moms, and I've seen kids spin out that kind of story. They'll go, I went to school, I had holes in my socks, I was embarrassed by my clothing. Everybody else had nicer clothing. And they don't say my mom worked day and night to put food on the table and cared about us and gave us good values. No, I was embarrassed at school. And so they have resentment. They'll turn it into a negative. People can come up with a negative. And I'm telling you, I've seen that plenty of times. That person's story is, my mom, we never saw her. We were latchkey kids. She was always working. And, we would bring, we had a brown baguette and maybe bring a potato to school, and the kids were eating great food and we were in this junk stuff, and just have complaints. I'm telling you, that happens. So you had a great mom and you're a great son. Just saying.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hi, Doctor. Can I chime in really quick?
Oh, please do.
This is Crystal.
Crystal, good to see you.
So I just want to speak for the single moms out there. I'm actually a single mom, teen mom. My oldest is 21. Fortunately, she's already in her third year in college. We'll be applying to med school soon. So I'm super blessed. And I live in South Central. So all the odds are against us. But she really, I've done my best to really try to, it almost feels like fighting against the current with all the social media out there, because we have social media out there telling them, hey, you have your opinions, you have your feelings are valid, and this is the way to go, and don't let people do A, B, and C to you. But there has to be some type of line that we draw as parents. And I saw this on social media, but I'm gonna read it to you guys. It says, teach your kids that all feelings are valid, but not all behaviors are acceptable. And I think that was super important, because yes, you can feel a certain way, because, for example, my 10-year-old, she was in her feelings and she's like, well, I don't want to talk to you. So she was ignoring me. I said, you can feel that way, but ignoring me is very disrespectful. And that's something that you cannot do. So we have to find that balance of, yes, you draw your boundaries, but you still have to have a level of respect for people and not feel entitled to, I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can express
Crystal,
myself.
let me tell you something. Crystal, let me interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
First, let me congratulate you. You
Thank
raised
you.
a daughter in South Central where the values are not necessarily education, to advance in education.
Mm-hmm.
So, and probably a lot of her peers didn't have those ambitions. So congratulations to you. And I'm hearing you say she's a good girl, respectful. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now that's huge, because if she goes to medical school, but she's ungrateful and disrespectful to you, that's not a good story.
Mm-hmm.
But she's respectful and loyal to you, and is successful in school and going on to medical school, a beautiful profession. Now, that's powerful. Now I'm going to ask you this question. You're a success story. You're a big success story. I have nothing but respect and admiration for you. What's the secret to your success?
I grew up the opposite way. I didn't graduate high school. My dad was an alcoholic, abused my mom, lots of domestic violence in the family. And I didn't want my kids to grow up that way. So I really tried to break what they call the generational curses for my daughters. And although I'm not a perfect mom, I mean, I just got out of a 7-year domestic violence relationship myself. So I have faulted in some ways, and I'm still trying to forgive myself for putting my daughters through that, because they witnessed, the abuse. But it's really just reflecting on how we grew up and what we want for our children, and trying but it's not going to be a perfect road, but just trying your best every single day. And I'm my youngest is 3. I have a 21-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 10-year-old, and I'm still learning how to be a parent, and I'm still making mistakes, and I'm still apologizing to my daughters for mistakes that I've made and mistakes that I continue making. But I think as parents, it's constantly just staying on track, following up with them. I mean, even with my 21-year-old, I mean, her work ethic is, I mean, I'm a store manager, and we always talk about the work ethic of of the new generation. It's horrible. But my daughter, I think, has called out, and she's been at Starbucks for 3 years and has called out maybe 4 times in 3 years. She'll be sick. She's sick, and she's like, I'm gonna push through. If I can push through, I'm gonna make it. And her work ethic is just so strong because she's seen how hard I've worked to provide for them. Like I said,
let me interject something. Firstly,
Mm-hmm.
again, congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Much respect. Much respect. She could have gone other ways, even with your good parenting. This is a beautiful thing. Even with a single mom in a dysfunctional relationship with the man in your life, your daughter turned out like that. It's doable. You've proven it's doable. Of course, I'm bringing the commitment to extreme respect always. Extreme respect always. And you've achieved that. And I've heard these stories of amazing achievements this way. I think it takes an amazing parent and an amazing child to benefit from what you gave her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just amazing, absolute amazing.
Yeah.
And doable. You've proven it's doable.
Thank you. 2 more to go.
And you grew up with a father. You might have been better off if you'd been raised with a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
From what you're describing.
Yeah. I mean, I begged my mom to leave him. I mean, I was 18 when she finally left him. But, I was the oldest, so fortunately, my younger brothers, but all of us went through it. And, I know the statistics are out there of single moms and dads not being in the family, but there's also statistics that show what happens when they grow up in a broken home or in a dysfunctional home, not broken home, a dysfunctional home with an abusive father. And that's where we were at. That's
why I say it depends on who the mother is. Now, if you've been a party girl, always bringing different men home every day, drugging it up, drinking it up, going out maybe overnight, leaving the kids by themselves. Now, that child's not lucky to have a single mom parent, but a mom with your values, and your values were formed a lot, not by the role model you had, but by the role model you didn't want to be. You grew up with a great example of how you didn't want to be. That's powerful. I see that a lot. Yeah. People become the best parents in the world because they know what they don't want to be. Most parents want to give their children what they didn't get. You're a good example of that. You're a good example of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Your family life is precious. It's gold. And the example should be making videos, even if 1-minute videos saying what you did, how you raised them. In fact, send it to me. I'll share it with people.
Thank you.
We've got this right now, and people will be hearing this with your example and the example of Louis before, who was raised by a single mom. And there are many others online now with us right now. I can tell you for a fact that have similar good stories about being raised with a single mom of all races. Diego, if I can ask you to speak up again, please.
Yeah, certainly, Dr. Nerenberg. Good to see you, by the way.
Very good to see you, Diego.
Thank you. I was just admiring Crystal there for what she's done, because I was also raised. I can resonate a lot with everything that she said, because I was also raised by a single mother in South Central LA. So all odds are against us when you grow up in that sort of environment and that sort of household. So and I was just sharing with her that I know it's a very tough upbringing in South Central for kids. The high school that I went to, John C. Fremont High School in South Central there in San Pedro in 76. Back in the day, I don't know about now, but the time when I was attending it, it had a 75% dropout rate. Luckily I was one of the good statistics, one of the 25% that did graduate. But yeah, it's just, a survivor's mode that you're basically growing up when you grow up in South Central. So I was just
Well, Diego,
admiring her.
Diego, I know you, and I know the man you are. You are a true gentleman. What was the secret of your upbringing? What kind of mother, what kind of woman, what kind of person is your mother to raise a fine young man like you?
She was hard. You know, she was she definitely had a lot of she instilled a lot of discipline in me. You know, she always kept me in line. Maybe as a child, I didn't really understand that, or I wasn't really a big fan of the way that she disciplined me. But as an adult, I thank her for that now. You know, I look beyond the things that she did wrong, and I look at what because it's more so of a question of what was probably done for her in her childhood in order for her to raise me with that sort of discipline. So I look beyond that, and I accepted her for her flaws, and I just thank her now. But yeah, she grew up. It was a very, very difficult environment. You know, she was always in survival mode. She was always stressed out about paying the bills. But she always did a good job, doctor. We always had good food on our table. We always had a house to sleep in. We always had clothes on our back. So she did a great job, and I always thank her for that nowadays.
Diego, look, this is very big what you're saying. This is big. You're grateful for what your mother did. And I know the man you are. You are a very respectful young man. And a lot of people from your background could say, you know, I had such a terrible childhood. You know, it was very rough. It was gangs. It was poverty. And justify that for becoming drug addicts and achieving nothing. But your mother was a person that instilled certain values, and you accepted those values. You internalized it. How did that happen? That's amazing.
Like I said, it was just more so of a fact of, understanding that she probably grew up a certain way, and maybe, like I said, I really love my mother. I thank her to this day for all the discipline and the way that she kept me in line. Because if she hadn't instilled that discipline upon me as a child, maybe I would have turned up in the streets. Maybe I would have been into gangs, into drugs. Maybe I would have gone to jail. I don't know. But the fact that she did that she always kept me in line, I always thank her to that now.
Diego, that's beautiful. You're a wonderful human being, a wonderful man, a wonderful son. That you have that gratitude, that you actually thank your mother for what she did. You're not one who just complains about his mother, says what she didn't do for you. And she, I'm sure, did a lot of wrong things. You don't complain about that. You say, Mom, thank you. You're saying, thank you, Mom. I understand what you did for me now. And how old are you?
40.
At 40. People at 50 don't even have that maturity. So for some reason, given who she is and given who you are, you become this magnificent man that you are, an honorable man. We're all imperfect. We're all imperfect, but an honorable man.
Thank you.
So this shows it can be done. And what I wanted to bring was the concept of extreme respect always, and having people recite that at school, teaching parents to be saying it with their kids. Very simple, 3 words. Who else would like to make a comment or ask a question?
Dr. Nerenberg?
Yes.
Can you hear me? This is Anna Ibarra. I remember
Mom.
Ann. I just want to say I have a lot of respect for Amber. I grew up I didn't grow up in the best environment. I was a teen pregnancy. But I dropped out of high school. Then I got my GED. I went back to school. I became a registered nurse. And throughout the years, my daughter, I guess she was, she's seen me, all my struggles. As you see, she's an NP now.
Wow. Wow.
I just want to say I have a lot of respect for her. Everything I've gone through in life was well worth it.
But what was it about you that allowed your daughter to proceed as she did? What is it about her and about you that allowed this very wonderful, constructive outcome? What is it about you and about your daughter?
I think it's the strength. strength. She's always seen me be a strong person, regardless of all the things I went through.
So she saw your resilience.
My resilience, yes.
She saw your resilience. And she saw that you never gave up.
No, I didn't give up. Yeah.
You got
Nursing
knocked.
school was quite hard, and
You got knocked down. You got knocked down.
A lot.
But you never gave up. You always got up.
Yeah, my upbringing wasn't the best. My mother was an alcoholic. I saw men come in and out. It was just a very, very bad environment. As I said, I was a teen pregnancy.
So you're basically, your mom here again is a negative role model. You say, I don't want to be that mother?
No, I turned it around.
So you said, I don't want to be that. I don't want to have that going on in my life. And you turn it around.
Yes, and now I see my daughter, and now I know everything I went through was well worth it. She's a great kid. As you see, you know her.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It shows that there's hope. And what makes her great is not that she's a nurse practitioner. That's wonderful. What makes her great is that she's respectful to you.
Oh, yeah.
That's the greatness. Then when that's there, then being a nurse practitioner is wonderful. If she was a nurse practitioner but was disrespectful to you, that's not a good outcome.
No. She's always been a real good kid.
Well, something about her that responded to goodness and some kind of intrinsic self-worth and commitment to constructiveness, commitment to the way of honor.
Yeah, she's a wonderful girl.
Wow. 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 Amazing.
Yeah. I'm really proud of her, doctor. Really proud of her.
And I'm proud of her hearing about that. I'm proud of you. And you certainly didn't have what would be called an idyllic upbringing. So
no, I didn't.
People like yourself take away the excuses from people. Oh, I had this and this and that and the other thing. That's why I'm a failure in this way. That's why I'm a mess that I am. You've taken away all the excuses. You've taken away all the excuses. That as human beings, we can turn things around. We can look at the glasses half full instead of half empty. We can look for what's the best true story. I can tell myself about this problem. It's all doable. You're proof.
Yeah, thank you for all. I love I'm watching the honor therapy. I'm watching the videos. Everything has been so helpful.
Well, it's meant to make good people even better.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for that feedback. That is incredible.
Yeah,
thank you.
You're amazing. At your age, you're amazing. I'm 55, so I can only hope.
Well, you got to make sure you're getting your exercise, keeping up very constructive thoughts. That's a very important part of and having a strong sense of purpose and mission in life, and making sure you're getting beans, greens, and berries every day, and make sure you're getting your vitamin D. Well, I have a lot of videos on this, but this is some of the foundation. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah.
Doctor?
Yeah, Hugh.
You touched on it a little bit, but there are some therapists that try to find somebody in the person's life to blame for all their problems, and that's very destructive.
Yes, he's saying that. He was saying some therapists will look for someone they can blame in their life, so they can blame them for all their problems. A lot of times, it's the mother or the father that takes the blame, and sometimes they were really bad parents. But generally speaking, a normal parent, there's a lot to be grateful for in a normal parent. And we're seeing cases where parents were not good parents, and the children, beautiful people that spoke up, turned out magnificent, with even parents that weren't the greatest. So individual responsibility, one of the commands of honor, is I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. The parenting society has an influence, but you have the power to self-direct. You haven't created all your problems, but if you feed them and indulge them, then you're co-creating them, and then you have the power. You have the power to co-create something better, something more constructive, something more honorable. Totally good point, Hugh. Thank you. Who else has something you'd like to ask or say?
Hey, this is Mercy Deroge. How are you?
Oh, Mercy. Yes, Mercy. Very good to hear from you.
Yeah, this was a very productive meeting. I love this part where people share what they've gone through, and you get to feel you're not alone. I identified with, I can't remember her name. Yeah, talking about she's the one who told her mother to leave her abusive relationship.
Yeah, you talk about Crystal, yeah.
I was in one too, and my daughter, she was 13. She's the one who like really pushed me to leave my abusive husband. And
is that when you were in Kenya or America?
In Kenya.
In Kenya.
And I know, yeah, there's so much disrespect around the world. I also know social media has a lot to do with how we are raising our children. And I remember one of the commandments in the Bible teaches us, honor your mother and father so your days can be longer.
All religions have a teaching of honoring your mother and father. Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, and then having my children join me here, my son was 11 years old, different culture, going to school, we had some hiccups here and there, but I can say they've all turned out well. But like someone is saying, you have to stay on top of your children. You have to know what they're doing, take an interest in them, listen, even when they don't want to talk to you, you know how teenagers can be. You still want to know what's going on in their lives.
Well, it takes a good mother like yourself, and it takes a good child who's willing to see that for what it is. There are many children who don't want to talk to their mother or their father. They want to talk to their friends. This is a blessing, the way your life has gone. I believe you've been a registered nurse for many years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you made great contributions to society. You came from Africa. You left an abusive relationship, and you really made something of yourself. Here I'm going to describe something that's a little bit humorous about life's journey. It's almost like a comedy routine. You say, we've all been at our mother's womb, just sitting there minding our own business, just sitting there. And all of a sudden, the walls start coming around, closing on us. We get squeezed. You go, what the heck's going on here? And then boom, we come out. And we go, why? We see all these lights. What's happening here? What's going on? And then, so we start off, saying, what's going on? And so, not verbally, but what's happening to me? And a lot of life really continues like that. What's happening to me in this situation, in that situation? I mean, when you're in the womb, nobody's there telling you, hey, when you come out, this is what you're going to be facing. So let's give you some courses in it. Now you come out and there you are. That wall's closed into me. Next thing I know, I'm getting squeezed out. And I'm popping out. And Doc's whacking me in the butt. Wah! And I would say life continues in that vein. I think it's a comical way of describing the process. I think we're going through life going, what's going on here? I wasn't ready for this. And then by having the teachings of honor, we can stabilize our lives and walk a constructive path amidst the inevitable chaos and the failures and setbacks that we're all going to face in life, where the walls close in on us and we're going, what's going on here? Well, thank you for that, Mercy.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have something you want to ask or say before we conclude?
Hi, Doc.
Yes.
Sorry.
Please.
Dr. Nerenberg, I would just like to state that, you covered some really good topics, and one of them that's been a trap for me is looking at the past and blaming everybody and everything. The only thing we can control is how we act and react. So for me personally, I just have to take responsibility for my own actions and not blame anyone else. It's the only way I can recover. So I appreciate that you brought that up, and I don't know if that's something that'll help somebody else, but
well, it helps me explain some things to people because, look, you said you don't want to blame people, which of course makes us miserable when we're doing it. And plus people don't like to hear it anyway. But you're saying, I've helped co-create it. I may not have totally created it, but I co-created it. and now I want to unco-create. I want to co-create something better. That takes a strong man to step up and say what you've said. And I know you. And I see the strength in you and the self-honesty and the commitment to the way of honor. I see that.
We can only change ourselves. We can't change the past. We can't change other people.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I tell people something that's a little bit not immediately apparently true. We can't change the events of our past, but we can change our past. We can change how we see the past. We can change the story we tell ourselves about the past. So in that sense, we can change the past. Not the events, but how we see it, how we speak about it, how we think about it. That can be changed. And that's as important, or even more important, than the fact that we can't change the exact events. So I've got a number of lectures on how to change your past. Sort of go, why? How can you change your past? Well, that's how we do it. But thank you for bringing that up. Thank you very, very much. Somebody else, you had something you were going to say?
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. It's Tracy.
Tracy, you're here. Great. I'm so glad you're here, my dear goddaughter.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to comment on just the whole thing. First, I know we started off talking about the school system and everything, and as being a paraeducator in a high school, I work at a continuation high school. Man, the disrespect, it really starts from getting a phone or getting a tablet or a device too early. I mean, just yesterday I was trying to help one of the students, and I was even telling him, I'm going to tell you the answers, just write it down, because he's trying to find a perfect answer. And I'm like, you just need to get the assignment done. I said, I'm going to tell you the answer, just write it down. And he didn't want to do it.
Well, here's the thing, Tracy. Here's the thing. You can have some people looking at their iPads and their phones and still go a good path. But the disrespect manifested on their cell phones, but also the parenting and certainly the community of people that they associate with there. A lot of it's not very lofty. I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, but I'm on TikTok. And you see a different level of maturity, wisdom in the different social media. But if somebody's attracted to trash talk, someone's attracted to that, a lot of it has to do with the attraction. Some people are attracted to that, and so they're going to go in that direction, and they're going to be dragged around with people with low moral values because they're attracted to that. We all have the attraction to our lower nature and an attraction to our divine nature, our honor nature. So if somebody's just going to feed that, and you can use the internet for that, you can use the social media for that, but there's also a lot of wonderful, uplifting, beautiful things on social media.
Right.
But someone's not attracted to it, they're not going to benefit.
No, I understand. The thing is, you can get stuck in the rabbit hole.
Yes.
That affects the brain. It causes ADHD because you cannot focus on one thing for too long. You're just like, next. And it's becoming a really bad thing because students cannot remember. They don't even know how to study. And, I spoke to the student today and I said, look, the thing is I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to help you with your assignment, and you have your earphone in your ear. You're going on your phone. You're scrolling up and down. You're blasting the music. And I'm just trying to get you through the assignment because just graduate high school. And even if I'm telling you, write one of these answers down, apples, bananas, tomatoes, lettuce, and you're like, I don't want to write any of them down. Well, I don't know how you're going to even want to help yourself if you can't write one of those things down and think that, okay, I'm going to hit submit and turn it in.
Well, Tracy, let me interrupt for a second, because this is really important what you're saying. You're basically saying that there wasn't that respect for you as a teacher. And I'm sure the child didn't have good respect for his parents either, mother, father, however many parents he has in the home. That disrespect is going to damage that human being for a long time to come. It's not going to change soon. The person probably have to hit bottom, start saying, hey, this isn't working for me. you've just illustrated perfectly the issue of disrespect. And that story is not alone. I'm sure you encounter this often.
Well, this is the thing. When I'm in the classroom and the teacher is teaching, I'm there on the sidelines supporting the teacher. And at our school, the students are allowed to have their phone. You look around, the teacher's teaching, every single student has a phone, and I kind of have to go like, hello, I'm like, the teacher's telling you the answers. Start writing it down just to kind of wake them up. And I even have to say, like, please, you guys are the future of our world. You guys are the future of our world. Like, if you guys are going to be the doctors, are you guys going to get there? Am I going to want you to take care of me? Because I need you guys to be proactive about learning and about at least graduating high school. Well, because you are the future of this world.
Well, Tracy, I got to tell you something. You're such a beautiful human being. You have the power of caring. You have the power of caring. How much you might have impacted somebody, there may have been no impact of it, but you have that great power of caring, which comes from your profoundly loving heart. You will care even when it's a losing battle. You don't stop, and that's powerful. But you've illustrated the disrespect, and I'm sure you'll agree then that if you were put in that college, in that high school, $50 million more for whatever, it wasn't going to change it. They're going to be on their thing. They're doing what they're doing. So it's not a matter, would you agree that it's not a matter of funding, it's a matter of respect?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like it, and definitely, especially with the funding thing, because a lot of these students, everything is like, okay, go on your online and do the homework online, classwork. But you tell them, open this book and look in the glossary, or look up the definition, look up the index. They don't know what a glossary is. They don't know what an index is. They don't know what a table of contents is. They don't know how to use a book.
But here's the point. If they would respect their parent and they respected you, they would follow your guidance. So the issue is not just their ignorance, but their lack of respect. So it comes down again, not funding. I'm going to ask you this. Let's say those roofs leaked. And let's say the toilets didn't work real well in the girls' room and the boys' room, but they respected the teacher. They can get an education, a better education. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So it doesn't come down to funding. And everything you see going on in the news, in the media, everyone's talking about funding. Listen, I'm not against funding, but the issue is not funding. It has to do with disrespect, respect. And once we get this message and we start teaching in the schools, extreme respect always, start teaching at home early on, we can change our nation rapidly. Right now, that's not happening, but the intention of what we're doing here is to bring this to the people. As we say in the honor movement, honor to the people. Thank you so much for your input, Tracy. I hear the passion in your voice. I hear the frustration, and I hear the deep, profound concern of the future of these people and the future of our nation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Very, very much. Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say?
What do you disrespect?
He was asking, what do I disrespect? I don't disrespect anything. I may not have full respect for certain destructive elements in society and destructive tendencies. I may not respect it. I personally really don't disrespect anything. But I may not respect it. If it's not honorable, I won't respect it. But I'll always wish them well and hope they'll turn to honor. And I try to keep a constructive perspective personally. Well, thanks for asking that. Anybody else have something you want to ask or say?
Hey, Dr. Nerenberg, this is John.
John, good to hear from you, John.
I enjoy the meeting we had this evening, sir. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
I work in a hospital, so I definitely understand the disrespect. I can definitely say that I have been in this position for over 26 years. And I have seen a lot of difference in people, patients, workers, bosses. And it just seems like, we need to do a whole reset, or something needs to fix.
That's John. That's the word, a reset. The reset is very simple. 3 words: extreme respect always. From childhood, in the schools, and propagate this through all the institutions. Extreme respect always. That's a good start. I'm not saying it'll cure everything, but it's a statement we want to go in that direction. Right now, we don't have that.
Yes, sir.
That's the reset button. Extreme respect always.
Always.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Nerenberg, for everything, sir.
Well, John, thank you for your input. I know I've talked to people who worked in ER rooms, and they'll tell me the patients cursed them out and say all kinds of nasty things, and here they're trying to save their lives, and happens a lot. The breakdown of respect. But we can turn this around. The good news is we can turn this around within 1 generation. We got to start now. That's the good news. Thank you for that, John, very much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it's been my pleasure to present to you Danger, the Pervasive Culture of Disrespect.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.